Louisa, good to see you again.
Hey Ryan, good to see you too.
How you been?
Very good. How about you?
Very well, thank you. I was pretty excited to get this going today. It's been on the calendar for a few weeks now.
I know. We're finally making it happen.
I know. I'm very excited that we're able to do this, and thank you for getting this set up. I think it's an awesome idea to connect with you and really have a conversation. We've obviously known each other for so long, but really haven't had the opportunity to sit down and talk business and talk about what's going on out there. So glad we can do this, and hopefully, anybody tuning in can get some great information from us to hopefully help them with their personal finances or business, whatever they might be doing. But
it's an interesting world out there, so I think it's important to have this conversation.
So obviously in the same field doing financial services, but would love to hear, your explanation of what you do and what you're helping people with.
Helping people with financial guidance, and that's really taking an educational approach, because I think if they know better, they'll do better. And there's not a lot of proper information out there. You can Google it, you can talk to your friends and family, you can talk to your cousin Joe, but that's not going to be something that makes sense for you as an individual. And that's what I provide. It's education that's tailored around the person or the couple, whoever I may be sitting in front of, and looking at their finances in a very holistic way so that there's no holes in the boat for their financial picture and for their financial plan. But so we are from the same industry. We're from the same company, actually.
Yep.
We're actually almost competitors in a friendly way.
Friend competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
frenemies.
Good frenemies, yeah. It's good though, right? We were able to keep each other motivated. We're able to bounce ideas off each other. Like we said, this is the first time we're really getting to sit down and have a full conversation, but you and I talk all the time about, what are you helping families with these days? What are you finding people have the most challenges with? Things along those lines. So I guess, for everybody, what are you helping? Yes, you take an educational approach, but what are you finding specifically families are needing more than ever right now?
It's an interesting environment right now. I'm finding a lot of people are coming to me for budgeting.
Really?
Yeah. That budget tracker that we use, it's being passed out to everybody. I mean, I passed it out to everybody before, but I'm finding that tool is something I'm actually sitting down with people to help them through. It's not something I typically did before.
Yeah.
That's an exercise that I had people doing on their own, and then they would come back because that was their homework. But now I'm finding that this is a challenge that they're faced with before they can get anywhere else, before they can even do anything else.
Well, and I find it is such an underrated thing that people typically will skip over when it comes to personal finances is creating a budget.
Yep.
It can be one of the most simple, one of the most reliable ways for people to stay on track for whatever their financial goals is creating a budget. And what I try to do with people, because that's a big thing that I do for people too, is help them understand, hey, where do you start? And typically a budget is number one. I try to get people to think about budgeting, not like restricting. You can kind of equate budgeting to dieting, where yes, you can be on a diet, which means you are trying to consume less or consume better, but you can also just be on a diet, which means you're just paying attention to what you're eating.
Yeah.
And what I try to do on the budgeting side is something similar. I don't want people to necessarily restrict themselves on what they spend. Maybe they need it, but where I want people to start is by just tracking what they're spending, understanding where their money is going, and then from there, if necessary, they can decide where they can restrict or where they can dial back their spending.
Yeah.
Through the education piece, I try to do something as well. You can help people, and you've probably experienced this too, you can help people, you can tell them what's right for them, but when they can realize for themselves what's right for them or what's going to be best for their financial goals, financial future, whatever you want to call it, it's so much more powerful for them.
Yeah. What do you find yourself running into client-wise right now? What's their level of understanding with investments and savings, the importance of having a very sound foundation for their finance? Because I think a lot of people are thinking about debt. Debt is a huge thing, and that's the only thing that they're focused on. So what are you finding in your business?
Debt's a big one. I actually just saw a stat the other day. Canadians are spending $1.81 for every dollar that they earn, which is a crazy stat. What I'm hearing a lot when I'm speaking to people is it is a lack of financial literacy, and it's not their fault. Nobody taught them. The school system has never really taught this. Most of our parents don't know these things, grandparents don't know these things, so where are you supposed to find it? Google, online, like you had said earlier. And that's a great resource, but there's so much information out there. How are you supposed to know what's right for you? So I think that what I'm finding from people is that lack of financial literacy, but at the same time, people know that they need to learn more. People know that they want to improve, maybe get more savings in their pocket, finding ways to keep more of their money in their pocket, finding ways to grow their money faster, finding ways to be more tax efficient. So I think guidance is really what I'm finding these days about what people want and what people need. And it's just having someone that, hopefully that they trust, to help them with that.
On the note of growing their money fast, are you finding a lot of people are trying the Bitcoin or the do-it-yourself, and they're falling for all these false promises?
Yeah, a little bit. I think don't get me wrong, I think it's great that people have the interest to create their own portfolios and invest their own money, choose their own investments. I think it's awesome, right?
Yep.
And I would encourage people to try it if they have the interest and if they have the ability. The three things that I think people need to consider when they decide to do that is, one, do you have the knowledge? Do you have the time? And do you have the interest?
Yeah.
Right? For me, I have knowledge and interest. I don't have time. I don't want to watch the screens all the time. I don't have the time to watch the screens all the time and make those choices. I also don't have the stomach for the Bitcoin roller coaster that happens, right? So I do think it's good for people to give it a shot and try it on their own. Also, I think people should keep their options open. Obviously, I'm a little biased to this, but I do think people should keep their options open and see if there is a better fit or see what other options are out there available. Because what I find happens a lot, people start investing, people start becoming emotional. Of course they do. It's their money. They've worked hard for it. And when things start going a little bit off of what they had planned, that's when the real mistakes get made.
Yep.
And right now is a perfect example of that. Bitcoin, for example, has been skyrocketing. It's been growing like crazy. And everybody that wants to get on board is throwing a lot of money in. As we've seen many times with Bitcoin, any sort of investments, they do drop sometimes.
Yep.
And that's where mistakes get made. So that's kind of my opinion on it. What do you think about that?
Honestly, the faster the rise, the faster the fall, and the sharper the fall. What I tell my clients when it comes to Bitcoin, because I don't discourage it, I just tell them not to put their whole life savings into it. Whatever they're willing to gamble away and lose, that's what you should probably put towards it. Just use it as a fun thing to do and to learn more about it. Because obviously it's a big fad and everybody's talking about it. So, if you have a few $1,000s that you're willing to lose, then go for it. Just don't put your future self savings into all of Bitcoin. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. We teach people that all the time, putting your eggs in one basket and using that whole elevator. Diversification. I actually had a client who was telling me about her marijuana investment and she lost it all.
Really?
Yeah.
And and it's funny because I've had that too, right? I've had clients that lost a lot of money. I have clients that made a lot of money. And it's challenging for everybody because there are always going to be people that win in things like this. There are always going to be people that lose unless you're a long-term investor, right? I'm sure you see this all the time too. If you're able to keep your money invested for the long term and you can create a plan and stick to it, it becomes a lot harder to lose money because you have so much time to let it grow, right?
That's key for everything. It's time in the market.
100%.
And, the mistake a lot of emotional investors make is they see things go down, they get a little bit emotional and they want to pull their money out. And that's exactly when you actually do lose money. And the way I explain to people, to my clients, is you're not losing money because those are representations of your money. You own shares, you own units. And when the market's down, they're just cheap. They're on sale. That's when you should buy more.
Exactly.
Because it's cheap. And then when the market goes up again, now everything that you bought is now worth so much more.
Well, I use the exact same story. I use an analogy, buying pants. Right?
Yes.
Let's imagine for some reason you had to buy a new pair of pants every month.
Yeah.
right? And every single month, without fail, they are $100. But sometimes you get a stockpile of pants, right? You can kind of decide if you want to buy more or not buy more. And let's say one month, the price goes up to $150 per pair. You're probably not going to buy extra pairs of pants, right? You're probably going to maybe buy that one you need, maybe even just wait. Most people are probably just going to still buy that one. But when pants go 50% off and it's $50 for a pair of pants, when you know that you're going to be buying, when you know you're going to be buying them for the next few months anyways, you're going to load up. You're going to buy as much as you can. So everywhere else, we are looking for discounts. We are waiting for prices to go down, except the stock market. For some reason, and I think it's just emotion, we do it the exact opposite or a lot of people do it the exact opposite in investing in the real estate market, in the stock market.
I actually use groceries as an example.
Perfect.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah.
You're not buying that $5 apple. You're going to wait till it's $2.
Exactly.
Right?
100%.
And I think a lot of people can relate to groceries. I think groceries and food is at an all-time high right now.
Yep.
But I like to use the clothing analogy with my lady clients because I know they all like to shop. They all like their clothing. As soon as I use clothing as an example, oh, I get it now.
Yeah. So what are you seeing with you kind of, that's a good segue, I think, prices going up, groceries being more expensive, gas is crazy again right now. What are some challenges that you see people having, and then what are some fixes? What are some remedies that you're kind of giving people?
The challenge is people are not making enough money, or they want to make more money, or they don't know how to make more money, or they're limited in the amount of money that they make.
Yeah.
So now I'm also finding myself giving them advice around finding a second stream of income. Is there something else you could do part-time, or maybe learn a new skill so that you can make more in your current position, or maybe get something else on the side? I think that's the biggest challenge. People are not making enough money. Like you said, $1.81, $1.82 for every dollar that they earn, they're spending $1.82. And this is why, because they don't have enough money. So they're using debt to pay their expenses. And it's just this vicious roller coaster.
Well, and I think that kind of comes back to being willing to plan and take a little bit of advice, or at least just hear somebody out, have a conversation. How impactful would an extra $500 a month be to you? How impactful would an extra $1,000 a month be to you? When you do that budgeting exercises, you can see exactly what the gap is. How much would that mean to you? How much would that mean to your family? And then, no, money does not just grow on trees, but if you are able to pick up a side gig, if you're able to find a way to make a little bit extra money, becoming a sole proprietor, right? Maybe starting up your own business, even if it's just crafts and things that you do on the side, find a way to make money. Not only are you able to earn money that way, but what a lot of people forget is sole proprietors have a huge income tax strategy available to them to help them reduce their taxes. I am not a tax professional, but just gotta let everybody know. But I am a sole proprietor myself, and I know that I save money on my income tax because I'm able to write off a lot of business expenses. People forget that aspect. So sometimes just letting people know about that can be a huge one too.
Even going on a trip, if you're going with somebody that you happen to work with, or if you go to a conference, or if you take on some sort of a learning experience while you're away for one of the days, now that trip is a write-off.
Well, why do you think all the doctors' conferences are in Bermuda and Bora Bora and all these beautiful tropical places? Right?
Tax write-off.
they've got a good strategy. If there's another person out there or another type of business that can take advantage of it, why not? You and I go to Vegas every year for our conference, right? Great place to go. It's super fun. It's super warm. Tax write-off.
Tax write-off.
Right, to go to that conference. So, just little conversations like that, and letting people know what their options are, I think can be very helpful.
So what are you telling your clients, what are you advising your clients when you're helping them with that budget tracker? They're coming up maybe in the negative, and they're not saving any money. Maybe they're in their 40s and 50s, and they don't have a lot of time in their timeline. What are you suggesting to them?
I think at the base of it, what I'm recommending to people for them to do is two things that I think are pretty simple, but do take time and effort. I think the first thing is to really understand, what do you want, right? Create some goals, understand what are you working towards, and decide for yourself, are you willing to do what it takes to get there? Very simple one is, I want to retire by 65. Are you willing to do what it takes to get there? Right? So I think it comes down to goal setting, and I think it comes down to really deciding if you want to do it. The second thing that I am advising people on to, help them get ahead or help them get to where they're trying to go is, you got to get a plan. You got to have a plan. It's like, again, going back to the dieting or exercise or fitness, it is so much easier to accomplish your goals. It is so much easier to get ahead, get where you want to be in anything in life. Personal finance is no different. If you're able to have or create a plan, something that you can follow, something that can keep you accountable. So those are really two basic things that I'm advising people on, and I think that above all else, those are huge. What are you finding?
Yeah. A plan and having someone guide you through it. If you would take the gym analogy again, you can get a plan, you can get that workout strategy, but if you have a personal trainer or some sort of a coach that you're accountable to, that you see every 2 weeks or every once a week, or however it works for a lot of people. Everybody has a different structure in their gym routines, but that just makes it easier for them. You can have a plan, but if you don't have someone holding you accountable to it that you are in touch with regularly, like a financial advisor with your finances, it's easy to follow that plan.
Yeah. Well, and again, the gym analogy is, getting a plan is kind of like buying the membership. That's great. You've done the first step. You still got to go into the gym, right? You still got to execute. You still got to do the work. So that's another big thing too, is helping people not only create a plan, but giving them tasks and things that they can do to help moving forward to keep them going in the right direction.
Are you finding, because of the environment we're in with, everything going up in price, gas, groceries, everything, and people just really struggling to keep it together, are you finding your conversations have changed over the last 6 months to a year?
It really depends on who I'm talking about. That's a bad answer, but it really does depend on who I'm talking to and what their goals are. Some people, yes. Some people, it is very much giving them advice on how to keep pushing through it. I think across the board, though, I think everybody is concerned with, how can I optimize? Right? Where are the places that I can do more with my money, live a little bit tighter, do more with less? That is kind of a general theme with everybody. People are looking for ways to save money on things that they need, but maybe have an opportunity to save money on. Something both you and I do is we help people understand the difference between mortgage life insurance and term life insurance. So for homeowners, that is one of the easiest ways to save money, is to see if you have the right product for what you're trying to do. As we both know, mortgage life insurance is a very expensive product compared to the value you get for it. You can easily get a comparable term life insurance, sometimes for half the price, even less. So I think where people can really help themselves is every once in a while, maybe 6 months, 12 months, even 24. Just take a look at everything. Reevaluate. Make sure that you're still in the right programs for yourself. Make sure that you're not spending money on things that don't need to be spent, have money spent on. Oh my gosh, subscriptions.
Oh yes.
Right? Those free trials that people download and then
you're stuck.
And then you're stuck. It's it's little things that kind of just compound and add up, and then at least with a 6, 12, 24 month checkup, you can kind of rejig that, reevaluate, and kind of make the changes you need.
I did that for myself once, not long ago. Checked all the subscriptions I have, all that wasted money. It actually added up to over $100 a month.
Really, eh?
Just canceling those subscriptions.
Yeah.
Useless things.
I saved a woman $56 a month.
Crazy.
A couple months ago, just by doing that. Just looking at the things that she is currently paying for. Her name's not Janet, but hey Janet, I noticed you're doing this, this, this. They all do this. They're paying for this, this, this. They all do the same thing. Do you use all of them? She's like, oh my God, no, I was trialing all 3 and then I forgot to cancel the other 2.
That's what they're hoping for.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Do you have, obviously you speak to a lot of people, do you have if you had to, I know it's gonna be tough, but do you have a single piece of advice that you could give to people that are looking to optimize or get ahead with their personal finances?
That is pretty difficult. One single piece of advice.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, honestly, it really and this is not a self-promotion thing, but you need to find somebody who's a professional who can look outside of your situation, because you're never going to be able to see as far as somebody else who has the professional eye to look in and give you that right information, the right guidance based on what you're trying to achieve. Nobody can do it on their own. You can a little bit, but you're only going to get so far. So if you want to reach that next level, you need somebody who has that professional eye to help you get there. Whatever it is, whether if it's saving money, whether if it's getting a second opinion on your insurance, or if it's taking a look at, am I in the right program? I got this insurance 5 years ago. Probably doesn't make sense for you right now. But you're not going to know that on your own. You need to talk to somebody.
It's a full-time job, right? We were actually just talking about that with our team here about offloading and delegating different things. It's kind of like you do that with your personal life, right? Most people don't fix their own car, they go to a garage. Most people don't clean their own teeth professionally, they go to a dentist. I love the fact that people want to learn about personal finances and want to take it on their own, but it can be very beneficial, as you said, to work with a professional and if nothing else, at least get some advice. But you can usually get a lot of value out of working with financial professionals. Again, self-promotion a little bit, but I think it's great for people.
Well, the good thing about us is we're not fee-based.
No.
So there's no risk in just having a conversation. At the very least, you're going to learn something for yourself, right?
Use me and abuse me, I would say.
We're here, and we're not charging you any fees, and we're willing to take the time to get to know your situation, get to know what you're trying to achieve, and give you a plan, a very comprehensive one, I might add.
To that point, to the question that you just asked, what are your opinions on the robo-advisors, the Quest Trades and the Wealth Simples? And you kind of asked me a similar question, but what do you think of those? And what are you finding when people come? I'm sure you get it like I do. A lot of people now use those. What's your opinion? What do you think?
I think it really depends on what they're trying to achieve. There's so many different, I guess, goals that someone might be trying to achieve. Sometimes it could be that they just don't want to pay the fees to an advisor. They don't want to pay the fees.
Retire 30% wealthier.
Yeah, okay. Why wouldn't I just keep all that money for myself? Well, I like to pop up that really cool comparison that we have for one of the companies that we use versus, one of those robo-investors, and it's all about performance. You can have 0.33% in fees versus a company that we use that charges 2.3%, and it still outperforms. Because those are net the fees. There's someone managing it. There's someone looking at it 24/7 who's experienced, who's been in the industry for over 20 years. Unlike yourself, who probably has a full-time job. You can't look at it all the time. You don't have the knowledge, and you wouldn't know what to do in order to move things around properly for yourself. So it's performance.
Well, and that's just how we are as humans, right? Like I agree, I know all these things, but even when I go to Amazon to buy something and there's a $4 delivery charge or a $0 delivery charge, no matter what the price of the item is, even if it's more expensive for the $0 delivery, I'm like, I just don't want to pay that fee. It's just like, it's so against my inner self to pay a fee. And so I get why people do go to Quest Trade and Wealth Simple. And again, I think it's great that people do want to empower themselves and do want to do it themselves. But when you look at the returns, right? When you look at the performance, I think hopefully what people will start to look at is, where am I making the most money? Am I managing it myself and making more money than I would if I were working with somebody else? Great. Keep doing it yourself. That's awesome. But there are a lot of people out there that are losing money doing it themselves, not making a ton of money, and they could benefit significantly by working with an advisor, having a professional fund manager, using their investments for them. And I just, it comes back to, hopefully people will every once in a while reevaluate, make sure that they are doing what's best for them, and just seeing what options are out there available for them.
Do you think maybe people have this bias about advisors? I know a lot of times when I meet people and they have a conversation with me, I always get, we've never sat down with an advisor like you. Usually, A, they're not female, nothing against you being male. B,
I'm good. I'm happy.
And B, they're not actually taking the time to explain anything to us, where you actually took the time to understand where we are. You didn't try to push anything on us in the first meeting. This is the 4th time we're meeting, and you still haven't sold a product to us. You're still trying to get to know us.
What's the catch, right?
What's the catch? What's going on? Where do you get paid? How do you get paid? Do you get asked that question a lot too, by the way?
Yeah, obviously, how do you get paid? Because as you said,
Yep.
we'll work with people for free,
Yeah.
give them a lot of great advice, give them a plan, help them with all the things we've talked about so far. And then obviously I tell them how I get paid. It's our providers that pay us, it's not the client. I onboarded a guy to my team last week who's going to be working with me and training with me. And I said, we're working in an industry where it is so easy to take advantage of people that as an advisor, you need to be ethical, you need to have the client's best interest in mind, and you need to ensure that everything you do is all tying back to, is it right for the customer?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think the people that have worked with advisors and the people that have spoken to people before have gotten bad advice.
Yep.
They have been taken advantage of. They've been burned.
Yeah.
And it's human nature not to want to be burnt twice. So
Yeah.
people do come in that have spoken with people with a little bit hesitant, which
Yep.
I totally appreciate it. I get it. I was not receiving the best advice before I came into our brokerage either. And then the people that haven't come in, it is because there are horror stories, right? They see these things online. They, a bad review or a bad experience is going to spread so much farther and faster than
Yep.
a good one. So
Yeah.
we do live in a world where in any industry, in anything, negative things spread very fast, very, very far. It is few and far between, I believe, and this is why I love our brokerage.
Yeah.
It is few and far between to find people that truly do have the client's
Yeah.
interests in mind.
It's our brokerage and our specific office.
Yeah.
We really have high ethical standards. And I always feel like I've really done the best of my ability and the best job that I can do when I have taken somebody who was very shy to talk to me because they had a bad experience, perhaps with another brokerage, another company, whatever it is.
Yep.
And then they get this 5-star experience with me because I actually want them to learn something and I actually care about their situation. And I do not get paid for that. We don't get paid for that, right? But when you put somebody in a better situation through education, through time, hand-holding with the white glove, and they feel cared for, now they're with you forever.
100%. What would you say your biggest client win is? What was, if you can think of it, what was the one that was, you got off camera or you left the house and you just fist pumped when you got outside?
There are so many great client wins that I've had because I've been in business for a number of years, almost 7. So many great client wins that I think I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to go back to the first one. I was very young in business, still in training, and this was my aha moment. And that's when the financial services business went from my head to my heart.
That's big.
Because this client happens to be a friend of mine, so I obviously care about her. And her family, they have 2 young kids. They had insurance, they had their investments, so they had RSPs, they had TFSAs, they had everything. So she didn't think she had anything to learn. But I followed up with her every year pretty much and asked her, hey, do you want to sit down, see what I do? I already saw what you do and we have everything, we're good. Then COVID hit and then we were doing everything online. So we weren't in the office anymore. So I asked her to come see some information, a business overview. And she said, well, isn't that the same one I've seen before? Yes, you are right. However, that was 3 years ago.
It's all timing.
Right? So I think she just wanted to get rid of me. So she agreed. She said, okay, yeah, I'll see it again.
Yeah.
And she caught something. She said, you know what? I actually need an RDSP for my son.
I love those.
Yeah. So we gave her some education and some information. We put an RDSP in place. And because we're holistic, we looked at everything else. Okay, so you have an RSP. Do you have statements? You have a TFSA? Do you have some statements? We can do an analysis for you, see if what you're doing is making sense. Are you happy with your returns? Did you want a second opinion? If there was a way to get your money working harder, would you be open to taking a look at that? Well, who's going to say no to that?
Of course.
Right? Yeah. So we did that, gave her some education around it, and she had that aha moment. And then we did her insurance. She was doing piece by piece because she wanted to see little steps. Yeah. The insurance was the biggest aha moment. We actually learned that their current life insurance with what they had, they were insured for 10 years. So you can imagine how much can change in 10 years.
Yeah.
So 10 years.
2 years.
Yeah. In this situation, 10 years ago, they were a newly married couple.
Yeah.
And no kids, no mortgage. So I offered to do an analysis and a breakdown of their life insurance. It went back, took the information, took their statements, and we did some homework with my trainer at the time. And we did the breakdown and explained it to her where she realized that at the age of 65, because it was a declining benefit, she realized at 65 years old, her insurance would only be worth $400,000. That's the only payout that she would have at 65. Would that be enough to help your family? Was what I asked her. And she said, no. Well, I have kids, I have a mortgage.
Yeah.
That's not gonna cover anything. My kids can't even buy a house with that.
Yep.
What can they buy? Nothing. Nothing really, nothing big anyway.
Yeah.
So when she had that aha moment and she explained it back to me, so what you're telling me is when I'm 65, when I pass away after the age of 65, $400,000 is what pays to my husband or my kids.
Yeah.
And that's it? I said, yes. Does that work for you? No. Okay. Are you open to taking a look at some other solutions that would make more sense for your current family situation? Yeah. So we did that, walked her through it, and to this day, she is my biggest promoter. She's always saying, you have to talk to Louisa. You have no idea what she did for my family. Me and my family had no idea. I had no idea that that is actually what we do for people.
Yeah.
The education, the second opinion, and helping them to realize things for themselves.
Well, and what I love about that, and we spoke about this earlier, is all of what you did for her leading up until buying the insurance package, right, was free.
Yes.
You gave her free education. You gave her free advice. Whether she would have worked with you or not, she would have gotten so much value out of working with you, and that's the model that our brokerage has. Which,
I love it.
Which I absolutely love. So,
me too.
Now, what I love about that too is you're a mother, you're a wife, you have a family, you can relate to what her concerns are and what she's needing. I don't have any kids, right? Not married, different kind of priorities in my life. So my demographic, the people that I traditionally work with, and I do work with families as well, it's great.
Yep.
But mine is typically kind of who I used to be, right? I was a corporate sales guy, made pretty good money, didn't know what the heck to do with it when I made it. So I kind of find that that's who I work with a lot, are the corporate salespeople that are making decent income, but just don't know what to do with it. And the biggest one is, how do you shelter yourself from taxes? Now, again, I'm not an accountant, but as you and I both know, we're very well versed in the strategies that people can employ to help reduce their income tax. So plenty of great stories and you know, fist pumping after a call. But I think for me, it's teaching people that are in the position that I used to be, how that they can optimize their finances, how they can reduce those income tax, because you know, woe is the person making a lot of money, but you know, they bust their butts to make that money. They should be able to hold on to more of it. So I love when you're able to walk somebody through different tax strategies and different ways that they can help keep more of their money in their pocket. I'm thinking of a guy I used to work with actually. Before we sat down, he had mentioned that he was going to owe over $14,000 in taxes, and yes, he made good income, but as we spoke about already in Canada, people are spending more than they're actually earning. That's lower income people, that's middle income people, that's high income people. It's across the board. So he did not have this money and he was really freaking out. Ryan, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay this tax bill? And by just sitting down with him for 45 minutes, listening to kind of what he had going on and how he had his investment set up, we were able to move some money around. We were actually able to just transfer investments he had already had in his TFSA over to an RRSP that we opened up for him. And just by doing that alone, he didn't have to contribute any money. We just moved investments. He was able to flatten that that tax bill down to zero. So I love being able to help people with anything they might need, but my favorite one is tax strategy. The government gets enough, in my opinion. I think we got to figure out ways to put more money back into our own pockets.
Agreed. I really love the whole thing where nothing that we do costs the client anything. Our time, the strategies, the information.
And look how happy we are talking about working for free. I know,
we're just a couple of smiley people. We work for free. It's amazing.
I don't know many other professions that'll do this, but yeah, maybe we're crazy. Who knows?
Do you have a lot of people who scratch their heads like, I'm not paying you anything, but how do you get, I have to give you something. How do you get paid?
Always.
Like, no, I don't want your money. Your money stays in your pocket.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's the point of what we do, right? Helping people get ahead.
Yeah.
And free advice, I think, and planning is the best way to do it.
Yeah. I also love when I'm able to help somebody that doesn't necessarily, where their plan doesn't pay me a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes it hasn't paid me at all. But in my heart, I know I helped them and it was the right thing to do. And that's what I teach my people. I don't know if that's what you teach your people as well.
Yeah.
It's not about the commission.
No.
It's the mission.
That's it. Do what's right by the client. It may not pay off for you this time. It will come back to you in spades in all different ways, though.
Yeah, that's how you keep somebody for life.
Exactly.
When you have that trusting foundation and you become almost part of the family. I feel like I'm part of everybody's family, to be honest. Those conversations are pretty intimate. You're right into all of their finances and all their little secrets that they're probably not as excited to share with people, but they share it with us, and we make it a safe space for them, and then they learn. They get to learn something, and then they get to change the course of their financial picture.
I've met so many people that I hadn't known before, but they were maybe a referral from somebody, or someone found me on social media and they decided to reach out and have a conversation, that we're great friends now. We talk all the time.
Yeah.
We go back and forth. I've made so many good relationships with my clients, which is one of my favorite things about doing this, is the ability to meet and become, hopefully lifelong friends with people while helping them out. It's pretty special.
I love it. I actually just got a referral from a good client who was also a referral. I love how that trickles down. That's how I know I'm doing a good job too, is when I'm getting referrals upon referrals from the same person. But this referral, they're a fun couple. The one is very tight with money, the husband, and then the wife, she's the spender.
Yeah.
She's the one just spending it all. We need a couch, we need this, we need that. So they just bought a house, and I remember when we had gotten together, I always say, so what's new? And the wife said, oh, we bought a house. I was like, oh, that's a big purchase. Was that in the cards?
Yeah.
But anyways, they bought this house, and now the joke is, whenever we're about to get back together again, the husband says, don't worry, we're not buying any yachts, we're not buying any boats, we're not buying anything else, because now we're just saving money so we can keep the house that we just bought.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when you ask what's new, and the answer is the item that they bought,
Yeah.
right? Not what's going on.
The house.
Yeah.
The house, but it has no furniture yet.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah,
well, Louisa,
fun.
this has been great. I'm really glad we got a chance to do this.
Me too.
We should do this more often, of course.
Yeah.
Great sitting down with you, being able to have the fireside chat.
The fireside chat with Tam Ferg.
This is awesome.
All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap for today. Fireside chat with Louisa and Ryan comes to a close. If you guys found this to be of value today, if you liked it, like this video, share it. We would love for this information to go to more people. So please like and share, and we hope to bring you some more in the near future.